Hello, my name is Ilya Nikolic and I'm a research assistant with the Centre for European Studies and Monnet Centre of Excellence at Carleton University. And this interview is part of the EU Policy video series. Today I'm joined by Dr. Thales Speroni, who is a postdoctoral fellow at the Centre Norbet, Elias in Marseille, France. And today's discussion is based on his forthcoming article titled From Roots to Routes and Back, Unexpected Narratives of Italian Ancestral Citizenship Acquisition. And today's discussion will be looking at ancestral citizenship, how it operates, particularly in the Italian case, and what it tells us about the future of citizenship in Europe. Thank you for joining us today. Your research focuses on ancestral citizenship. Could you please explain what it is and why it is so important?
Absolutely. So when we are talking about citizenship, we are talking about who is inside and who is outside. This is directly related to the questions of justice, because it's not only what is justice, what is fair, but fair from whom? Who decides what is fair and how we guarantee what is fair? Ancestral citizenship, it's a specific kind of citizenship that it's acquired through a bloodline. There is other types of citizenship. There is citizenship by birthright, so when you are born in a specific territory, you become a citizen of that territory, or naturalization, that you become a citizen through residence, long-term residence. Ancestral citizenship specifically, it's relevant because it tells us the way that we as society, we as European societies, relate to our past and how we think about the future. There are basically two kinds of ancestral citizenship. One that it's related to the emigration. So we are talking about in the case, for example, of Italy, that had huge waves of emigration in the end of the 18th century, the 19th century, in the beginning of the 20th century. So it's an effort of the state, of the Italian state in this case, to have a connection with the diaspora, with the Italian diaspora. So ancestral citizenship is a way that the European state has to be connected with the Europeans in the past that are right now in other countries. So this is a specific kind of ancestral citizenship. But there is also another kind that it's connected with reparative or restorative citizenship. So basically here we are talking about populations that are expelled to Europe. So the German case is the paradigmatic case of this. So the population that was expelled to other countries outside of Germany. And right now, Germany as a society decide that these people should be recognized as a German and should be have the possibility to return to Germany. So when we think about ancestral citizenship, we are thinking about the connection that Europe has with the things that Europe did in the past, but also the way that it connects this past with the future. So that's why we created this Ancestral Citizenship in Europe project, because we want to understand how the European societies are building these kind of provisions and also the implications of these provisions. Our project that is founded by Volkswagen Foundation focus on three cases: the case of Bulgaria, the case of Germany, and the case of Italy. Each of these cases has this specific historical context, tells a different story, and tells a different way how ancestral citizenship connect the past with the future of Europe. And one of the ways that it's very relevant when we think about this connection is through migration. So citizenship, it's not only about to membership, to have these people heard, to have these people being recognized as citizens, but also in the European level. This means to have the possibility, the opportunity to live in any European Union country. So we are also talking about the possibility of people that are born in other countries outside the European Union to live in European Union countries that maybe sometimes are not the country that their ancestors come from. So there is also this European level in the way that the different specific countries related to their past.
In your research, you show that the relationship between ancestry, citizenship, and migration are neither linear nor are they dichotomous. Could you please explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we listen to the parliamentary debates, that it's one part of our project, we realize that in many cases, and I study specifically the case of Italy, there is these two elements that you just said, the dichotomy and the linearity. By dichotomy, I'm sorry, I'm doing again. So one part of our work is to analyze the parliamentary debates, and I work specifically on the Italian case. And one thing that we realize is that the parliamentary debates on citizenship, they have two main characteristics. One is the dichotomy, and the other is the linearity. By dichotomy, I conceive or I identify the idea that the parliamentaries think, when they think about the relationship between ancestry, citizenship, and migration, they think that there is only two ways that people could relate it with this process, that are identity, so they really feel like Italians, so they have the ancestry, they want to be recognized, and they want to return to Italy. That's the imaginary that the parliamentaries have in the last, 100 years. What we realize is that this does not tell all the story, no? The other way that they see this process, the parliament, like the politicians in Italy, it's that people are trying to take advantage of the Italian citizenship. So when they frame like that, they are thinking that a person that was born in Brazil and has Italian passport only wants to have the Italian passport to live in Spain, Portugal, to come to Disney, Miami, you know. They do not really are connected with the Italian culture. So the parliamentary debates, they have this kind of dichotomy where they only see like the real, like the true citizens and the ones that are trying to take advantage. But when we talk with people, when we do, and this is another part of our work, it's to do biographical research. So we talk with the families. We see that the trajectories, they are not dichotomous. There is people that could have a link with Italy that maybe it's not so strong, but also they can have like migratory projects in the European Union where the Italian passport could be useful. So the dichotomy, the opposition between genuine links with Italy and useful passports, it's not, it doesn't explain the real situation. But connected with the dichotomy, there is the idea of linearity, and it's very important. And we name this the biographical imagination embedded in the law. It's the idea that when the politicians discuss citizenship law, they have this kind of imagine of the trajectory, the biographical trajectory of people. And they think that first you have ancestry, so you are born Italian, then you have the Italian citizenship. Ideally, it's at the same time, so you're born with Italian blood, you become Italian citizen, and then you only have two legitimate migratory projects, or you stay in the place where your ancestors emigrated, so in this case, Brazil, Argentina, the US, or Canada, or you want to return to Italy. That's the only legitimate migratory projects. If you want to go to another place, to a third country, I don't know, to Spain, to Portugal, to Germany, in general, the political perspective on that is that you are taking advantage of the passport. So our biographical analysis shows that sometimes the migratory project comes first. So first we migrate, you don't feel as Italian, and you don't have the Italian citizenship. For example, we have cases of Brazilian students in Ireland that, of course, after some time there, like studying, they need a way to be a long-term resident. And they discover that they have Italian ancestry. So they started the process to apply for the Italian citizenship. But during the process to have the Italian citizenship, they have to recover all the family history. So they retell the family history, and in some cases, they rediscover their Italian roots. So in this case, that I'm just giving as an example, migration comes first, and then they had to rebuild their ancestry, and only as a final endpoint, they have the citizenship. Just to say that our hypothesis and our preliminary results say that this biographical imagination of the politicians, they are not consistent with the biographical narratives of the people.
Italy moved from arguably one of the most open ancestral citizenship regimes in Europe to one that is quite restrictive now with the reforms from 2025. Could you please explain this shift?
So actually this is a very difficult question, and me and a lot of other people, we are trying to answer to that. So just doing like a recap, Italy has had two main citizenship laws. One in 1912 that already was very open, so allowing the descendants of a person that was born in Italy to be Italian, to have the Italian citizenship without any limits on generation. So you can be like the fourth, the fifth generation. That was not a problem, but it was not a problem because the immigration was very recent. So they do not have like four or five generations, they only have one or two. So it was very permissive already in the first citizenship law in the 1912. Then there was a new law in the 1992 that put more like modernize these provisions, maintaining the possibility to be Italian without limits of generations, and also to allowing people to have dual citizenship. Because this was something that in the first law it was not allowed, but it was something that really happens. In the reality it happens. It was not enforced. So in the 92, they allowed the dual citizenship, and they also allowed the possibility of transmit the Italian citizenship through maternal line. Because before in the first law, it was only through the paternal line. So if your father is Italian, you are Italian, no? But your mother actually doesn't transmit, in that moment, did not transmit the citizenship. This was also because of the a law that said that if an Italian woman married a foreigner, she lose the Italian citizenship. So the idea of citizenship, the ownership of citizenship was very sexist, no? So the 92 law modernized that way, so allowed also the maternal line to transmit the Italian citizenship. What happens after that? During the 2000s, we have a huge number of people applying for Italian citizenship, because we are talking about right now of around 60 million people in the world that have Italian ancestry, and that could be eligible in the past law. So 60 million. It's more than the current population of Italy. What happens is that this generated a market, a very big market of intermediaries that offer services allowing people to having their citizenship recognized. You know? Because if you are a fourth generation, fifth generation, you have to do some genealogical research. You have to find many documents that it's very difficult for to do by yourself. You need some help. So this generates a very big market. This market also allowed the acceleration of the process. So this market also allowed the professionalization of the application to the citizenship, allows acceleration of the number of people trying to be Italians. No? So you can see here there is a cycle. And we found last year that this situation was considered by the German, by the Italian lawmakers as unsustainable. No, it was they considered as unsustainable because this generate administrative chaos. So the huge lines in the consulates, huge lines in the Italian municipalities. No, a very big administrative problem. They are not very happy with these services, this market that was created. One of the reasons is because some of these for-profits intermediaries, they are very they did some marketing that are very, how can I say, aggressive. So things like Black Friday of Italian citizenship, or offering services in shopping centers. You know, people doing, I don't know, going to buy some clothes, and then they see a flag of Italy and a lawyer, or I don't know, just an intermediary that check your last name, do a very quick genealogical research, see if you are eligible. If you are, they could be you can be their client. So this kind of dynamics, they are not happy with that. But the problem, it's not the problem per se, because the problem is obvious. The problem, it was already in the previous law. If you don't have a generation limit, if you don't have any kind of requirements to be in Italy or to know the Italian language, each new generation makes the number of possible applicants bigger, the increment, it's exponential. But the problem of the solution that they generate, it was without any discussion with the community, the diaspora. And it was very quick. They decided a law in a Friday. It was March 28 last year. And from that day to now, the new law was already enforced. No, so basically, from one day to the another, 60 million people almost lost the possibility to be recognized as Italian citizens, and this generates, as you can imagine, huge waves of discontentment. A lot of people were lost in the process. There was people that live in Italy that they are trying to apply to be Italian citizens, and they are took in this vortex, and they are not Italian anymore. No, so yeah, this was took surprise a lot of people, including myself, all the intermediaries that I talk with, and right now the Italian courts, the Italian Constitutional Court, they are discussing if the new law is constitutional. And at this moment, we don't know if they will validate the constitutionality of the new law or not.
Your article describes how the demand for Italian ancestral citizenship has been commercially organized through agencies and legal firms, something that the Italian government calls as a passport market. If people are spending thousands of euros to acquire ancestral citizenship, is it effectively being sold? And is this kind of market present in other European countries?
So this is a I think it's a very relevant question, and this is a question because when we think about citizenship, we think about something you cannot buy. No, that's it's something that it's sacred in some way. No, this is a very relevant question because this was one of the most recurrent elements bring by the Italian politicians during the discussion of the new law. What happens is, I think that we should think through the perspective of economic sociology. So what creates a market? What creates this market? No? Because it is a market. I don't think it's a market of passports, exactly, but it is a market of services that allows you to be recognized as Italian citizen. No? What created this market? No? It was just like people trying to have profit in a loophole of the law. It was just that. Or it was a little bit more complex than that. Of course, that's my question, it's rhetoric, and I think it's more complex than that. One of the elements is the number and the relevance of the Italian immigration. We are talking about a lot of Italian immigrants that went to live in South America 150 years ago. And this generate like new generations of Italian descendants. So the number of the diaspora of the Italian descendants, it's very big. So we are talking about the potentiality of the market very big. So if we are talking about market, first we are talking about the potential clients. The potential clientele is huge. So that's the first element. But this was responsibility of the Italian lawmakers that created this possibility. So this is the first thing. The second thing is why someone wants to have the Italian passport only as an instrument without any connections to Italy. Why? They want to have that because of the migratory policy in Europe. It's very difficult for someone from Argentina or to Brazil to live legally and to have a safe way to go to Europe in general. So of course, if you close a door, people look for windows. And the Italian citizenship pathway was a very big window that people, sometimes without really like a strong connection with Italy, they went through that. As I said before, of course, sometimes they do not have this strong connection, but they discover this connection in the process. No, this is something that I have to say. And in other cases, of course, they had this strong connection because part of the Italian migration was to rural zones of Brazil and Argentina, where they still speak the Venetian dialect, for example. And there is more people speaking the Venetian dialect in Brazil than there is in Italy right now. No? So let's come back. When we are talking about market, we have a huge potential clientele. We have motivations that were created not only by the citizenship law, but also by the migratory policies, by the European migratory policies. This is an element. And the third is the bureaucracy. So the inefficiency of the Italian administrative, huge consulate lines. So people waiting for like 10 years to have their Italian passport. People who have a lot of difficulty to have like the documents of their ancestors. So many like obstacles, administrative obstacles, that an individual that do not know anything about the law, that do not know much about Italy, or that are not in Italy, they cannot do by themselves. So they really need a support of a professional or someone that knows the ways in this bureaucratic labyrinth. So we have a history of immigration, we have a citizenship law, we have migratory policies, we have bureaucrat labyrinths. All of these, I think, they are elements that created this market. But just to finish my answer to your question, I have to say something that I think it's very relevant. When you generate these obstacles to have your right, to have access to your right, in this case, these people had the right to be recognized as Italians, you create a class filter, no? Because people are spending like 4,000 euros with intermediaries to have their citizenship recognized. So in the end, what happened is the possibility of being recognized as Italian was some sort of class privilege. It was not something for everyone in Brazil or Argentina or in the US. You need to have money. So here it's something that I think it's very relevant when you think about citizenship. It's the relationship with migration, one thing, and the other thing, it's the relationship with inequalities. Being Italian citizen in Brazil or Argentina gives you a position of privilege. But at the same time, it's also a consequence of a position of privilege that could be, that in general it is racial and also class related.
At the beginning of our conversation, you said that analyzing ancestral citizenship allows us to reflect on the visions of the future of Europe. What do these provisions tell us about that future?
Thank you. I think that first, when we talk about ancestral citizenship, we are talking about the relationship with the past. So previously in our conversation, we were talking about ancestral citizenship as a way to repair some of the wrongdoings of some of the European countries. And Germany, it's one of the examples, no? So it's a way to think about the past and try to fix some of the consequences of the wrongdoings, the past wrongdoings. I think this, it's relevant. And this is something that puts ancestral citizenship as in the center of the way Europe see itself in the history, see its colonial past, see its presence in different wars, in different genocides. So I think this is relevant and there is a direct connection with the future. But this direct connection, it's not so obvious in the politic debate right now. So we are creating provisions to repair the wrongdoings of the past, but at the same time, we are not avoiding some new wrongdoings. And I think here we should relate ancestral citizenship and migratory policies again. So if we have many obstacles to migrate to Europe in a safe and legal way, we are doing, again, we are doing something that put people in a vulnerable position, again. And this is also related to one tension that I think it's on the core of the ancestral citizenship discussion, that it's the role of the ethnicity to define who is the citizen, who is the one that could vote, who is the one that is consulted, that it's part of a society. No? I think that right now in Europe, in general, and Europe has, other European Union country has some way to get the citizenship through through ancestral links. No, I think we have a very, very deep contradiction between the possibility to be a citizen through naturalization, so through residence, and the possibility to be a citizen through ancestry connections. And Italy, again, I think it's a very paradigmatic case of that. Right now in Italy, we have people that were born in Italy and they are not Italians. We have people that live in Italy for 8 years and they are not Italians. And then, and this is a contradiction, this is like something that we cannot, I mean, we cannot say that this doesn't exist. And then we have someone that, as myself, have Italian ancestry, and we are eligible to be Italian citizens. So there is a contradiction here. I think, and again, this doesn't mean that I think we should restrict ancestral citizenship. It's not about this. Mainly because of the migratory obstacles. If we have these obstacles, we should think that people have the right to, to do what they can to migrate in a safe and legal way to Italy or to Europe in general. But I think that what ancestral citizenship say about the future of Europe, it's that we have to think also about the other ways to acquire citizenship, and we have to remember about the risks of think about the European societies as defined only about through ethnic terms. Our society cannot be defined only through ethnic terms. That's the message I think that we have to have for the future of Europe.
Thank you for your time today and your valuable insights, Dr. Speroni.
Thanks.